Hey guys, and welcome back to this week's 52-week project video. Like I mentioned in my last video for the quarterly review of the 52-week project, I am back in Sydney or near Sydney. So I'm currently just getting all of my stuff together from being back overseas and trying to be on track again. It's been really difficult. We've just been constantly going to see family and friends in the last week. But finally back from overseas from traveling, which is really sad. But like I said, I'm happy to be home. But this week's video is going to be on the last photo shoot that I did in LA, and there were actually quite a few issues that we had with this particular shoot. So I'm going to go through what ended up happening with it and how we sort of overcome a few of the obstacles. So there was initially a bit of a miscommunication with the agency, I think, and between the agency, me and the model. So I had put on the call sheet to make sure that all the models that I was shooting that day were to bring along their own clothing and to style themselves. So Alina, the model that I had for this particular shoot, I actually met her at a studio in LA. So I hired a studio for an hour or so, and I met her at this studio in LA, and she pretty much said to me straight up, she's like, I didn't bring any clothing because the agency assured me that you had some. And I was like, oh, that's strange. I don't have any either. I actually put it on the call sheet, but we can get through this. So we did, and we made do with no extra clothing. Alina only had the clothes pretty much that she was wearing on her back, so they were very casual. So we decided to do a few really relaxed, laid back, natural shots. We managed to get those, which was great, and using the natural light that was coming into the studio really worked for those particular shots, I think. And also the only piece of clothing I actually had that day was meant to be for an earlier shoot, but I was using it to create patterns with sunlight and with the lace texture from the shawl that I had. So basically I got Alina to wear that for a few shots as well when I was doing some really close-up beauty portraits. And we decided to do beauty because obviously you don't have as much emphasis on the clothing, and I could practice my retouching and my skills with beauty photography, because that's what I'm looking at really pushing forward with this year. So we decided to do kind of a mixture of those types of shots. In the end, there was no real set theme with this shoot, and I really wanted to get in the studio and just experiment for a full hour. And I was really happy to do that because I don't always get to go into a proper professional studio and do that. I don't have one of my own, and usually a lot of my shoots are kind of set up inside with my own equipment, and it's really nice to be in that professional setting. So I really took the time for the hour that we had, and I experimented with lots of different lighting. I experimented with different poses, different expressions. I got stuff for my e-commerce portfolio even, so really just basic clothing shots against like a blank wall, just to have a few of those in my portfolio, because they're always good when you're looking at getting work for e-commerce jobs such as clothing brands or online clothing brands. They really look for photographers for e-commerce work, and that's just something else to add to my portfolio really. So I just kind of took it as, instead of being such a serious photo shoot, for a full hour we would just experiment and I'd try and get what I could in terms of shots. So anyway guys, I'm going to show you some behind the scenes from this shoot now, and I really hope you enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed the behind the scenes. Now I'm going to go through my images from the day, the final shots, and talk about what I liked about them and what I think I probably could have done a little bit better, and just overall my top 5 images from the shoot. So guys, these are my final shots, and I'm going to go through each one and tell you my thoughts on each photograph. So this particular photo I do like. I think it's a little bit, maybe a little bit boring, I think, in a sense. And I do really like the tones, although I think I went a little bit too orange with the tones this time, and definitely something I need to improve on. But I think the skin editing's pretty good. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see how I've done that, and the texture's pretty intact with it all, which I'm really happy about. And I did use dodging and burning to get that effect, so I'm pretty happy with that one overall, although that's not going to be in my top 5 for this week. This photo is another one that I also took. So the last couple of photos I have actually been taking for practice with beauty retouching, because it's such a huge thing to do and it's so hard and meticulous. So I really wanted to practice with that on this particular shoot. So the last 2 photos I've taken has been specifically for that purpose, really. So I do like this shot, although I think it's probably a little bit on the boring side again. Not really much happening with it for me, but I do like how the skin's edited overall. However, it's not going to be in my top 5. This photo I feel like is a little bit different, and it is going to be in my top 5, only because I put it into black and white. I just think there's something interesting about it, and as you can see, I feel like the skin's pretty well edited here. I tried to keep as much of the texture intact as possible, and I kind of like the highlights. I think maybe I went a little bit overboard with highlights, but overall I do like the image a little bit better than the other 2, because I do find it just that little bit more interesting, so it is going to be in my top 5 this week. This photo is another one that's going to be in my top 5, and I think it's just that little bit interesting, more so than the other ones that I was showing you before. So I think the angle of the head and the tilt of the head looks really interesting, and also, once again, I think I did edit the skin quite well. I'm trying not to sound too up myself or anything here, but I do think I am improving with skin retouching. It does look a little bit soft still in a lot of these images, and I want to get even more texture available. So it is something that I'm really trying to work on hard at the moment, but this photo will be in my top 5 for this week. This photo is okay. Once again, a lot of these are practice images for my retouching, and I think that this one's a little bit on the boring side too. I have to say that my range of photos this week was probably not the best, and I think I could have done a lot better overall. But like I said, it was such a candid kind of environment, and I was trying to just experiment with so many different things. There was no set theme, so a lot of these photos won't really have a theme, if you have noticed already. So yeah, unfortunately this one's not going to be in my top 5 though. This photo is going to be in my top 5, and there's a couple of the black and white ones this week that I liked. I just wanted to take a really simple photograph, black and white, with the checkered shirt. And I kind of like how she's looking in this photo. I don't know, there's something about it that I really do like with her expression. And I think it just looks like more of an interesting shot than the first view. So it is going to be in my top 5 this week. This is another one that's going to be in my top 5, and I really love the shadows. I wanted to create something against the window with the natural light that was going to really give an interesting effect, and I really did love how this shot came out in the end with the black and white. And I think this is the most black and white I've ever done in a photo shoot. I think there's like 3 in my top 5 that are black and white. But I really did like how this image turned out and the lighting, and yeah, that's why it's going to be in my top 5. This photo is kind of a bit of a whatever photo for me. I think I was just trying to experiment with the natural light once again, and it looks okay, but there's nothing overly interesting about it for me, and it's not going to be in my top 5. This photo is going to be my top 5. I do like how the natural light looks. I think it could have been even a little bit better. I could have positioned Alina at a different angle, and I think it's a little bit overexposed in the top left-hand corner. So I think I could have improved on this a lot, but I do still like that image, and it is going to be in my top 5. This is a really basic photo, and it's actually something I'm going to use for my e-commerce portfolio. So this is just really basic shots in front of a white wall, a white backdrop, and a lot of these shots would be used for like online clothing stores and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to get a really simple shot of Alina against a white backdrop, and that could be added to my e-commerce portfolio. So it's not really going to be in my top 5 though. It was just really an experimental shot. However, a lot of these shots were experimental, and they're probably the most inconsistent in all of my photo shoots so far, but I think I've got a couple there that I probably would use in maybe a beauty portfolio or even for e-commerce, like I said before. So I think my top photo for the week would have to be this photo here. There's something I love about it, and I do like the tones. I love her expression, and I really think Alina looks great in this photo. And I do like how I edited the skin. As I said before, you can give you a close up here. Beauty photography is something that I really want to improve on a lot this year, and I really want to make it one of my niches. So I think that this is a step in the right direction. I've got a long way to go, obviously, but I really enjoyed doing this photo shoot, and I hope you guys enjoyed looking at all the images. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing those images. Now I'm going to tell you guys what I think I really could have done better this week. So I think this is a really hard one, because I was determining whether to not even put this segment in this week, because it was just such an experimental day and it was kind of a bit of fun, and I was trying to kind of experiment with different types of lighting, and I don't know, it was just really hard to pinpoint what I needed to do better, because I wasn't taking it to be a really overly serious shoot. But I think what I could have done better was maybe work with the lighting even a little bit more, and I think that would have been better if I had like an extra hour in the studio, but because I only had an hour, I was a little bit pushed for time. But I think I could have worked with the light a little bit better in terms of the natural light that was coming through. In particular, I think that I could have probably positioned the model a little bit differently to the light. I think that they just were lacking a little bit in terms of like a mood or good lighting at times. I think what I did well this week was I really tried hard to experiment with a beauty dish, and I was more happy with that lighting overall than the natural lighting, which is strange for me because usually I'm more of a natural light person and I do like natural light, but I think I'm starting to be really converted to studio at the moment. I don't know, there's something that I'm really loving about it. So I think I did really well with the beauty dish this week. I think that I probably got a long way to go with studio, but it's a good starting point, and it was really good to just have an experimental day. So it is now time for me to announce the featured photographer of the week from the 52-week project group on Facebook. So like I said, for all those people in the Flickr group, try and get in the Facebook group as well, because that's where I'm really visiting a lot more often, more frequently. Flickr for me, unfortunately, is just not a platform I use as much, but I decided to create the group anyway because there were a lot of people that were using Flickr too. So anyway, the person that I'm featuring this week is going to be Omar Graham, and there are some amazing photos in his portfolio, but in particular the most recent photos he's put into the 52-week group have been just stunning, and I love the type of shots that he did. They've got like a really cool street fashion edge, and I love the makeup, I love the hair, I just love everything. So I really highly recommend going and checking out his work, and I've put his social media links in the description box below and also in this video. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. And if you haven't joined the 52-week project groups, I've also linked them down in the description box as well, with a link to the Flickr and Facebook groups. And the Facebook group is quite active, which is great to see. It's awesome to see so many people doing such a great job with their projects this year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!